Welcome back, friends. As you can see, the glacial ice is breaking up, the water is flowing, and this is my reaction video to my top 10 rock artists, the influential rock artists that died too young. I'm over half a mile away from my house, and all that water is going to end up hopefully flowing past my house, but some of it's actually going to probably pass through my property. But we'll deal with that once it actually all melts. But anyways, nobody called me out on this, and this is a little embarrassing, but I only gave you 9 artists in that video from a few days ago. So my top 9 influential artists that died too young. And that was, I knew when I was putting that one together, sitting down, making notes, that I was forgetting somebody. And so I'll give you that name towards the end of this video. This one's not going to be too long. And I did get some feedback from you guys, which I really appreciate. And there was a number of you that agreed with my list and my assessment. I don't know if my reasoning was all sound, but there was some general consensus there that I did a good job. And then there were a few names put forth, and I kind of agree and sort of just wanted to comment because, yeah, these were important artists, and they at least deserve honorable mention. At the beginning of my original video, I had mentioned people that you would think would be on the list, but really for various reasons aren't. And someone I had in mind too that wouldn't make that list as influential at the time of their death was John Lennon. And you remember he was gunned down in New York City. But by then, he didn't seem like the rest of the Beatles to be much of an influence. It seemed like that Yoko Ono person was kind of, hindering what could have been a extremely bright solo career. So he didn't make the cut in the original video. And then someone mentioned Bolan from T-Rex. I guess an argument could be made about that. I mean, they didn't have widespread influence to begin with. I suppose more could have been done. I'm not too familiar with T-Rex. I do like some of the hits that you would be familiar with, but as an artist, yeah, I guess an argument could be made. Another name mentioned was David Bowie. Same as John Lennon. I mean, for me, it was the Andy Edwards video where he kind of reviewed that Dancing in the Streets video with Mick Jagger and David Bowie without the sound, and it kind of showed how lame both of them had become, over time. So I don't know if David Bowie had it in him to mount a meaningful comeback after that. That was kind of embarrassing, that whole season there. But yeah, he'll be sorely missed. I do enjoy Bowie's stuff from earlier in his career. Another name mentioned was Gary Moore. I think, and I don't know a lot about Gary Moore other than I feel he's terribly underrated. He probably should have had more influence. But he's kind of a name I would associate with something I had posed in an earlier video, the Pink Floyd videos. Like, if David Gilmour hadn't been brought in to replace Syd Barrett, would somebody like Gary Moore have been able to get the job done? I mean, I think they were somewhat contemporary as far as the time they were performing. So, if Jeff Beck had stepped in rather than David Gilmour, what could have been with Pink Floyd's career with that combination. These are just kind of thought experiments. The one name I really would agree with more than so the others was Freddie Mercury, and I think just because of the cultural iconic impact he had, even to this day, you know, he would have been a culture shaper, if not a musical influence. So that's one, you know, we were all, even to this day, Freddie is sorely missed. But the artist I have in mind, I'm going to wait for this school bus to pass by. All that water, it's going to be at the Shimko household pretty soon. Good shot of my shoulder. But it's a name many of you won't be familiar with. It's because he's from a genre you wouldn't be familiar with, and I know I titled that one the top rock artists. But the name Keith Green, and he was a Christian artist back in the 70s. And it's not that his sound was so influential, although it possibly could have had the potential for that. Let me just pause by this gurgling, bubbling creek here. All that water. That murky, nasty water. But Keith Green, he was somewhat a pioneer in the Christian music industry, and really he had, and this is going from his biography that his wife had written. I forget the name of it, but I can put the title in the description. A real interesting character in that he was really up against the record labels and the recording studios of his day, so much so that he offered an album for free. I forget if it was self-published or how that worked. But it's like record company executives were forever at odds with him, and a real interesting character. And so he, like Randy Rhoads, tragically died and like the Skinner crew, died in a aircraft related accident. And there's speculation that it wasn't an accident, it was actually some dirty deeds done dirt cheap as a result of just the totality of circumstances surrounding the plane crash that took his life. But he was staunchly anti-Catholic, and when I was reading about him many years ago, probably 15 years ago, it kind of sent me down the rabbit hole of the whole Jesuit conspiracy and things that were going on there. And my background, my family background actually is Ukrainian Catholic, but I'm not a Catholic. I'm not Protestant. I don't know what I am. I think a follower of Jesus, believer. It's not important. But in any case, Keith Green, he was massively popular at the time when he was performing. His life was cut short. He would have been in his 30s, if I remember correct. He was kind of this childhood prodigy, performing, from the age of 2 kind of thing. Like very gifted, and just had the potential to transform the music industry, just with his ideas and his approach to marketing music. The dog's found some dookie or something here to investigate. Come on, boys. Hey, we're shooting a video here. Hey. And so, like the modern, well, not the modern, the gospel industry in, the Christian music circles, it operates the same as in the so quote-unquote secular genres. It's about the money. Look at artists like Amy Grant and whatnot. They were marketed to a audience that was looking for a particular style of music, and that's what the record labels provided. And so it's not a condemnation against making money, but it's not like this idea that the Christian music industry is somehow more wholesome than other styles of music. It's all the same labels, it's all the same executives. The contracts look the same, it's just the names are different. And a lot of the development in the more recent years is for ministries to have their own record labels, whether it's Hillsong in Australia or Gateway Music. And now like Bethel Music is very big, but it is a way to generate money, most certainly. And Keith had his philosophy and approach on how he wanted to do it, and whether it was a matter of conscience or principle, he was very outspoken. And had he still been around today, well, he'd be a very old man today, but had he continued through the 80s, 90s and beyond, I think he would have helped shape the landscape of Christian music and possibly into pop and rock music of that day. So anyways, we're approaching the end of our walk here. The water is getting more and more disgusting as we go along. And so, yeah, now let's say we've rounded off our top 10 for real, and leave your comments and thoughts below. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye-bye.